Okay, then let's start. This is a bit of an interactive talk, so I will need your hands raised up in the air, and just let's try it. So please, everyone, lift up your hand right now. Nice, great. Hello, GRC. Hello, everyone in the hall. It's been a while since I've been here, since 2019. This is the first talk I'm giving after a COVID break. And because how the world changed, I decided this time that I won't talk about the usual topic I'm talking about, which is pixel art, but I will talk about social media because a lot of you will have experienced that the last 2.5 years, as we have been in our homes, as we experienced the lockdown, that social media just got a lot more important. So may I ask at first, who of you is an artist? Who? Okay, and who of you is an indie game dev who makes a small indie game with like less than 3 people team size? Okay, great. Who is anybody else? Okay, great, thanks. So first about me. I'm Thomas. Hi everyone. And I have a rather big social media with 65,000 followers on Twitter. That's scary. That's like a stadium. A lot of people hear the stuff I put out. I have been working on over 23 games. As I said, I'm specialized in pixel game art, and I'm also a consultant on pixel art games. So you might know my work. Maybe you don't know me. The most popular game which used assets for me is Vampire Survivors. And another one which just came out and recently is really popular is Stormkeeper, on which I consulted. But a lot of you probably heard of Blasphemous, Songs of Conquest, and also earlier this year Symphony of War came out, which was like the most popular pixel art game in February. So who of you knew some of those games before? Okay, so yeah, great, a lot. And probably most of you never heard of me before, so that's also okay. And what I currently am doing is I'm doing art direction for Streets of Rogue 2 for Tiny Build, and I also do consulting. So, and as I said, I am on Twitter, and I also learned most of social media with Twitter. But what's the most important is that for us artists, social media, platform, independent, works everywhere the same. So let's talk about the topic, why you are here. It's about likes. And here I ask you, if I just ask you, if you would rather get on any posting 1,000 likes or 20,000 likes, so I will immediately ask who of you would like rather to have 20,000 likes? I hope everybody. And if I ask you if you rather would like to have 1,000 likes from your followers or 20,000 likes which randomly come from the platform, it will get interesting. So who would rather prefer 1,000 likes from the followers? And who would generally rather prefer 20,000 likes overall? Okay, that was one-sided. And then if I ask you another thing, if you would rather like to have 1,000 likes from people who also buy things you put out, or would you rather get like 20,000 likes just from people which are passively interested? So who would like to have the likes from the people who buy the stuff? Yeah. And from the ones who don't buy the stuff, probably less. So, and the thing is, we get those likes. So, do we really need them? And the point is, do we need them to sustain ourselves? Is our core business built around this? So, I mean, a lot of artists sell prints, stickers, t-shirts, a lot of games, like on mobile, they sell ads based on the views. Or if you have a YouTube or Twitter, you profit like from the views. And also what I see a lot is that a lot of young people generally think they need to have likes to get a job. So those are like the big reasons why you might think you need those likes. But as we saw before, as I asked you, the number generally means not much at all. What means a lot is that likes, just the way how the platform is designed, they affect our brain. They affect our reward center. We have a positive and a negative reinforcement. So that means we put something out, it gets a lot of likes, we get like a positive reinforcement, we want to do it more. If we have a lot of likes, it looks good for our social group. The dopamine our brain shoots out makes us feel good of ourselves, and also it makes us generally feel good about posting. So another question, who of you ate pizza last month? Yeah. And who of you ate truffles last month? So yeah, basically 2 people out of the whole ate truffles. So what we can say, however, is like now, if you think about the truffles are a lot more expensive than pizza, that quality and popularity are just 2 fundamental different things, and they are completely independent from each other. So that means like the hands up in the air before illustrated like how likes are working. So it does not mean it's connected in any way to quality, it's just connected to people. So, and what we also need to ask ourselves now, if we would have more people in here, would the overall amount of the number change? Of course, because the more people we ask, the more people see that or hear that question, the bigger the number gets. And if we imagine we would ask the same question in a pizzeria or in a gourmet restaurant, the amount would change significantly. So here we already can see the number does not mean really much. Likes are generally just highly relative. The algorithm of the platform matters, the social bubble you have matters, the hour you post matters, the luck matters, basically who sees it, who doesn't see it, who is sharing it, who is not sharing it. Maybe you posted at a time which was not good, nobody saw it, the algorithm did not pick it up, and yeah, that changes the numbers. So we want those likes as artists generally because they make us feel good, we feel important if we post something which gets a lot of traction. We can determine status and the social power. We post them as self-justification to feel good about ourselves. And a lot of people also use them as a vehicle to overplay insecurities. So social media, of course, knows that, and there are dark sides to it. So generally, what we see a lot is that likes it's a number, but they get abused. A lot of people use them like as a measurement unit. And it comes so far that a lot of artists, they confuse their self-perception and their values based on it. And even more nefariously, at some point it will nudge us in a specific direction because we post a thing which got a lot of likes, and then we make more of that stuff which gave us the many likes. And so ultimately we can be forced in a direction we maybe didn't even want to go. And also we get like more envious about people who might post something which is maybe not really like, let's say, better. It's just more popular and we get envious. And I think a lot of artists experience this, and that's perfectly normal because that's how the platforms are built, and that's why those numbers are shown so prominently to us. So what we need to be aware of is that the social media side is corporate-owned software, and they are financed through ads and through selling personal data. So we as artists ultimately just get used to keep other people on the platform, that they can sell more ads to more people who view that stuff, and that they can generate more data which they in turn can sell. So that's like the mechanic behind this. And it's thoroughly engineered. So all those sites, they're pouring billions of dollars into their development. They hire up psychologists, and they make the whole loop we are going through if we use those sites, also with scrolling, like with every interaction, they make us basically addicted to it. So also the sites, they track our activity, they customize everything we see, they show us the content we interact with most likely, and they show us stuff based on our own behavior. I mean, maybe at some point, a couple of years earlier, you went to Amazon and you bought a new toilet. Suddenly Amazon would show you like 5 other toilets to buy. It got way more sophisticated, especially over the last 2 years, because social media just became a really, really big business. Through the lockdown, the numbers of all those companies really skyrocketed. And there are developments, and also in the algorithms, constant changes. A lot of you will have seen the fluctuation, how everything can change on a daily basis, and it really can, depending on how close we are to it, really make us uncomfortable, I say, or we feel the changes. So the thing is that everything in the current generation, also with the games, is built on the dopamine, on the dopamine output, and it just drives us. Like real gambling is taking over games. I don't know who of you saw it in the Ubisoft presentation. Like they now have real gambling as a feature to sell their new Assassin's Creed. And honestly, likes on social media are really similar to gambling. Like, I mean, we don't play the slot machine, but we just put something out and we look how it's doing. And the scary thing is that nobody properly educates us in social media and how it really works. So, and that's why I decided to talk about it, because most of us feel like that about social media. And it even leads to addiction. And there was a study performed by UNICEF, and they say social media makes us about equally feel good as if we are having sex. So that means a lot. And generally, the social media addiction is based on dopamine rushes, on the fear of missing out, and nomophobia. So basically, the fear of being disconnected. Like a lot of adolescent people, they can't even put their phone away anymore because there's such a strong grip on those designed cycles that it's just really uncomfortable. And because it's just so tightly tied to psychology, it can cause severe psychological injury, lead to serious depression, anxiety, and sleep deprivation. If you experienced any one of those, maybe you should take some distance to social media. But generally, the signs are that you want to have a desire of constant social media access. You can't curb it anymore. You even can't focus that well anymore. You exhibit symptoms of ADHD. You have a need to overshare. You start to stalk other people. You ignore real life, or you're more than 4 hours every day on social media. And you also become really stressed about what you're posting. And that's directly tied to how all of this is built. So generally, I started to have a couple of those signs just because of my work. I was really exhibited to social media a lot. I needed to post also for work. I did postings for games I worked on. I did postings for publishers. And you just develop this, even if you are aware of it. But the first really big thing is just be aware. Be aware that this is just built that way. And observe yourself. Don't install social media on your phone. Generally, I just installed all my social media for the convention on the phone. Usually, I uninstall it. I don't check it on my phone. I check it on my desktop. You can install, if you have it on your phone and you want to have it on your phone, install a number blocker, install a time tracking app. Just don't let that information, which is so prominently displayed to you to hack your brain, get shown to you. And also, limit your time on social media and make a plan what you are doing, do it, get away of it. And now, we want to have a big social media because all of our heroes, all the people we follow, all of them have big follower numbers. And this big follower number is really prominently displayed all of the time. So, and we think they are better people because they have more followers. And we also want that, and we feel that self-justification if we have it. But generally, how it happens with most people is that it's not the basis, it's just an effect. Because people who are long in business, they are long on social media. They share stuff for really long. And more importantly than that, unconsciously, they have a really clear line of what they are doing. So basically, I'm a pixel artist, I'm just posting pixel art. So you go to my social media, you start to expect pixel art. So that further down builds up a community. I do that since a long time. And also you inspire young people who might decide to take up art now, and they go to social media, they find like the biggest people there. So the cycle starts over and over and over. The things which change are just the algorithm and the way how the inner workings of the social media platform works, or maybe a new platform drops, like TikTok got really big recently. So, and what we need to be aware of is that all of our thinking, or most of our thinking, is just stereotypes, unless we really deeply and thoroughly understand the subject. So it's a really nice picture I found. It's a bit older, but I mean, it's a lot of things just which we connect if we're thinking about places. And that's basically illustrating how we think about things if we don't know much about them. And here I want to ask you, which saying the ancient Chinese knew, top managers use, and metalheads also know? And it's from a really famous book. It's from Sun Tzu. It's The Art of War. I mean, I'm perfectly aware of the political situation, and I'm also aware of great artists like Picasso, and they said we should not copy, we should steal, so I just changed it for our purpose. And social media is, if you know your audience and you know your art, you will gain traction with every posting you do. If you know your art, but not your audience, for every post with traction, you will also get one post which doesn't have traction. And if you neither know the audience nor your art, you never will gain any traction whatsoever, because you're just random, and that's the art of posting. So this is really simple. And yeah, from this, I said, now I will make some really simple, edgy rules you can follow to become like big on social media and eventually become an artist, or even a great artist. I don't know what a great artist is, but generally it works like this. The first thing is you just know what you're doing. You really truly know it. And generally how people learn what they know is by consuming what they are doing. So I don't know, maybe you are into manga, so you just consume a lot of manga. Maybe you are into video games, so you play a lot of video games. Maybe you're into a very specific type of video games, like let's say Metroidvanias. So you just play 100 Metroidvanias, and maybe you just consume, and you build up a picture of the stuff you're doing. And then what you're doing is you just produce the same. And I mean, this is really difficult because you never should be blatant, or you never should be boring. But generally, like, the more we know, the more we start seeing patterns, and the more we just develop like a finer feeling of what we can do. And so generally what it means, everything starts with self-reflection. Think about yourself, think about who you are and who you want to be, or who you want to be in a couple of years. Because do all of you think, do you think likes play fair? No. Because, and that's something, whenever I talk to young people, that's how they think social media works. They think posting bad things doesn't work. So the first thing you need to do is you need to make something which is really good. And that high quality will outperform the poor quality. And if you repost anything you did, it's really bad. So the things you really put effort into and you really put your love into, they will do well. And if something is exceptional, it will do well. And there's some linearity to this. So let's look at those. Really famous posting, which got a lot of traction. I think it was 2 years ago. And basically it shows like, yeah, somebody's just posting a selfie, gets a lot of likes. Somebody is showing something they put a lot of love, a lot of effort into, doesn't do at all well at social media, and generally outrage was produced, and this ran around the world with high speed of light, everybody saw it. Yeah, that's not how social media works, because also I get a lot of postings like this. So if I'm doing stuff which is just 10% as good, shouldn't I get 10% of the likes? And generally, a lot of people think that sharing stuff again is doing worse, like new stuff versus old stuff. So like this is showcasing what a lot of you might think, that I posted it the first time, it's new, it's doing rather good. I posted the second time, all my following saw it, and it's doing worse. Yeah, tough luck, because maybe in the same time you got more followers and the thing is just doing slightly better. So this is like half a year apart, it's the same posting, same wording, 600 more likes. Yeah, also could work, but then again, why did this do so much worse? I don't know. Then you post something else again, you change the text a little bit, and suddenly it does way better. Like it does more than twice as good. Like time passed, so now we have a post which performed better. Now we have a post which performed worse. Now we have one which completely goes like random. So then we have the completely other scenario. Like we post something again. Maybe here the wording was a slightly bit different, but the second post has 805. I just didn't put that, I think. But yeah, scenario like this, just the other way around. Then let's think about the time we put in our art, because the left thing is like concept art, really quick sketch, 3 hours for the design for everything, and the post on the right is like 16 hours. And so like we look at the numbers, we would expect like that the right thing, just based on the time we put into it, would do like maybe 5 times, 6 times as good. Not the case, just twice as good. So like there clearly is like something which is falling off. And then there also is something which I did purposefully for this, because I know my audience. And I mean, the left one is basically what my audience relates to, because it's like video gamey, adventurous, pixel artsy, quick paint stuff which they like. And the right thing is like expressionism. It's from Egon Schiele. He's one of the greatest Viennese artists. My audience does not get expressionism. And I like it, but my audience does not. And that's fine, because I mean, most games don't dabble with expressionism or with art in general. I dabble in games. Most of my postings are with games. But all of this does not matter, because if I post the same thing, which is also really cut to my audience 3 times, so the first time I posted it got like 4,000 likes, the second time I posted it, it only got like less than 2,000 likes, and then I posted the third time and it gets 14,000 likes. So it's like completely random. And then you just, one funny day, you wake up and you say, so I will make a post, and it's just an oddball post. You put 2 minutes into it, you write something, 2 artists use references. Goes to the moon, like straight up, and you did not put any time into it. That's just social media for you. And so I hope I shattered your expectation here, because if we look at how people think it works, and if we look then how it really works, and also how it works for you, maybe if you have 10 followers, and how it works for me with my 65,000 followers, it works exactly the same. It's completely random, and you should never think there is like some pattern to it. And once we understand that, let's just be kind and honest about it, and let's share it. It's just simply not how social media works. And likes say nothing about quality. And if you think, or if you start thinking that, we will have bad thoughts, we will feel bad. So generally, if you're an artist, we should just make what we like, we share it, we should be happy while we do it, and then we put it on social media. And no matter, I mean, if it gains traction, cool. If it doesn't gain traction, also cool. We should not think like of, oh, this got 2,000 likes, it does better than the thing which got 120 likes. we just share it, and we should be happy that some people related to it. And once we start comparing it, it's really unhealthy. And we do exactly what social media wants us to do. We do exactly what they train us to do, and we play exactly how social media wants it. And also, once we have an audience who cares about our stuff, we can put out anything. Like, I just can put out Renaissance bots. My audience does not care, because I share a taste with them. They know what I like. I know what they like mostly. It's game art. It's like kind of historical, and it can be really boring. And still, it will do really well. Yeah, that's that. So, and that you build up over time. That you build up just by being consistent. And a lot of people go to social media because they want to be famous. They think like, oh yeah, I will have all those numbers. And it can be your dream. I'm not saying if you want to be famous, like, go for it. Just be authentic. And if you want to be famous, then be honest about it. Admit it. Because most people who are famous actually never set out to be famous. Some people set out to it, and there's a genre for that, and that's called pop. There's pop art, there's pop music, there are also pop games. There are pop movies, like if you think of Marvel, plays like that. If we think, any pop music, exactly this. If you think pop art, exactly like this. Pop art is the art which tries to get the biggest slice of the audience. It's like the smallest relatable thing, and that's what will make us famous. It's a well-developed genre. There are books on it. There are studies on it. And there's a very specific audience to it, which has a very specific mindset. And the greatest pop artists really understand their audience, because they are just simply authentic about this. I don't know if you have the mindset to be a pop artist. I don't want to, because that's not who I am or what I would like to be. I still get like some specific traction from my audience. So let's talk about the audience. Most important questions to ask yourself: who are you? And who are you is not even just determined by yourself. It's determined where you get born. I have been to most of Europe. I lived even a year in Poland. And what I can tell you is that Austria and Poland are very different, and those countries are not even that far apart. Now I go to America, and suddenly everything changes. I go to South America, maybe I can't even relate to those people that well anymore. I go to Asia, and they have a completely different culture. They have a completely different heritage. Maybe I can't do much with it. So you also have a very specific political position that's based on your thinking, and you also have a specific field of interest. And that's what makes you. Then you had a childhood. You consumed stuff in your childhood you were exposed to. Those are mostly things your parents bought for you, and maybe it pushed you in a direction without you even realizing it. And you consumed this, and you just unconsciously start consuming more of the same stuff. Like, I got from my mom one day a Game Boy. I got the game. I was buying more Game Boy games. Game Boy games were created by Nintendo. They only had very specific games on their platform. I got exposed to that. So, then you just consume that, and you build a taste. And also, unless you have some really, really hard event in your life, you won't change your direction. So a lot is just determined by outside factors you are maybe not even in charge of. And also what's important is that even if you're an artist, you're just part of an audience. I am an audience. Everybody of you is an audience. You can't be that special that you are not an audience, because even the audience which is so super special is an audience in its own. So nobody is a special snowflake. And what all people do is they usually talk about what they like, and they ignore or dismiss what they don't like that much. You already had your childhood, so you are not going to change that. You are just yourself. That's fine. That's the status you are working from. Just go for it. Be comfortable. And the most comfortable thing to know is, in a world which is as interconnected as ours, we can find people who are really similar to our interests. So if I can find 800 people who like Renaissance bots, which is really boring. Maybe you can find 800 people for anything else. So the thing is, what do people talk about? And people generally talk about very few things. They talk about the hot things and the best things. And generally, why you talk about only those is because if I start talking about some really, really niche topic, nobody of you might know, I will get the reaction which is more like, eh. But if I start talking about the best thing in a given genre, the chances that you know it is just a lot higher. So that's why people unconsciously talk about only the hot things and the best things. They also talk about stuff they're into. So if I'm talking to a friend and I know their field of interest, and I know that I can talk to them more freely, I will talk about the stuff I'm into. Also, generally, a lot of people start talking a lot if something triggers them, because anger spreads fast. And what we share a lot, and what I have been doing here, is we share experiences. So if you have an awesome experience you want to share, or something which you think is worth sharing, you also do that. So generally, those are the big things people talk about. And also, if you look at how people do connect, it's very similar. They connect through similarity, through their experiences, through the stuff they talk about and the way how they talk about it. So if you think of my 3 edgy quotes there, which were really artsy, if I would have written them different, they would speak to a different audience. And it's really important to be aware of this. So even the way we talk can make us more sympathetic to another person or less so. So the only thing we need to ask ourselves if we want to do social media is, how can we be worthwhile on it? So the first thing you do is like figure out what your social media is about. So post about your projects. I mean, you are doing anyways what you are, who you are, like what you came up with. So if you post about that, you never can go wrong. You also should post about similar projects because, I mean, generally, if you make something, you anyways look at all the similar stuff. So why not talk about this? Also talk about the related topics, because people will find you if you talk about related topics, and you can build a community. So that means, like, if I talk only about pixel art, the chances that people who are not into pixel art will talk with me about something else is not working. So, I mean, pixel art and expressionism are really far away, even if I make expressionism with pixel art. So that's the truth to that. So you should make things which people can talk about. You should talk about the things you have an interest in, and most of all, be authentic, because that's the only way how you can keep it up for many, many years. And that brings us to the point that the big follower number just is big. You can buy followers. It's just an empty number by that. We all see a lot of corporate accounts. We all see like some people who have hundreds and thousands of followers, and then they get like 5 interactions. So this is not good. I mean, yeah, you can, like, if you really need it for yourself to show off with that number, you can buy it, but you don't need it. Also, everybody at every social media talk I ever have been to is talking about going viral. I will talk about this more, but it just makes numbers big. And I mean, the thing is, if you have something you sell, you want that the numbers are big because a lot of people are seeing this. And you want to have interested people who talk about this. This is why game devs should be on social media, because if you make a game, you should have people who are interested in it and they can talk about it. And you will find them by talking about similar games. That's what you should do if you're a game dev. That's why every game dev should have a social media. And then let me talk about that going viral. Like, I never had like much of a post which went really viral. Like I had 2 or 3 which did really well, but there are accounts which just tend to go like viral. And what virality is, it's like really impulsive following. That means people see something, they get short-term interested, and then they lose that interest like the next 2 weeks, maybe. Also then, if you're viral, all the bots on the platform jump in, all the tech pros who program stuff are jumping on those postings, and it blows even more, and you have a snowball running. But going viral means nothing if you can't capitalize on it. It could mean a lot if you got something which you want to sell, and it is merely an indicator for interest, really. It means nothing on a random tweet, on a random posting, and it means a lot if you just have something which you want to be seen, because what virality does is it cuts on your marketing budget. Because you have a tweet which is viral, you can save that money you would need to put out for the marketing, and then a lot of news sites, etc., will pick up on it. So the interest, the hype and the impulse, this fades really quickly, and we see that with things which really overpromised us a lot, like at E3 2017 we saw last night, and since 2010 Star Citizen is like in development, they had like huge levels of interest, they had a huge level of hype, and now we face a problem because they promised us stuff, and we have expectations, and those expectations are really high, so we need to deliver, like they need to deliver us on that. Because our expectation is set, our expectation is not going away, but our hype is fading. So, like, we are not as hyped about this as we were as we heard it, but we still expect the same. And that means we need to manage those levels of expectation, because you want to get people excited, especially on social media. And your average daily stuff you do, it's just not exciting. And if we look like at any crowdfunding, a lot of people just overpromise, because underpromising, just if you look at numbers, just if you analyze it, it's bad for us. So, and if you overpromise, it looks unauthentic. Like if you think about the whole Kickstarter, how it got big as a platform, and then Double Fine came along with their adventure, what people expected, what they got. Like this, like if you followed any of this shows us a lot what is happening. Also like with Cyberpunk, how they hyped it up as it came out, in which state it was released, and now they had like the TV show where it's like kind of reconciling people, but our expectations were there. They are not fading. And it's because, if I promise you something more than the other person, even if it's dishonest, I'm more hyped, because, I mean, people want to believe in ideas. Ideas are everything. Because the biggest franchise in the world, Pokemon, just runs on a single idea, like catch them all. And the expectations, you always have to deliver on them. If you change it, if you go higher with quality, you have to do it. And also drama is impulsive. So like there are a lot of accounts which are just working on drama. Like if you look at a lot of the pop artists, if you look at a lot of people at the Oscars, etc., the actors, or also certain authors, they work on drama. Like they post controversial stuff to get traction. And outrage always gains really fast negative traction. And drama accounts simply sell drama. Like you follow a drama account because you want to see the drama. But the point is, not every audience likes drama. I don't like drama. If somebody is like posting drama for me, I unfollow the person, and if the drama is like really triggering me, I block the person. So that's me. Drama can stress your audience. I get stressed by drama. If you don't need it in your life because you have other things to deal with, maybe you don't follow those accounts. Yeah, it makes big numbers because drama works for the pop audience. And that's, I have that really nice meme here. When you post your problems on social media, and you have the right audience, they are just hungry for drama. So yeah, you can build your social media on this. Generally, my advice is, Bill sees something that offends him, and he just moves on. So be like Bill. We save a lot of time, and we will feel better, and we will feel much nicer, and we can share some love with other people. So now, as we looked at all those numbers, what is really important at social media? It's just stay active for a long time, do your thing, always share your thing, do it daily, do it weekly, do it bi-weekly. If you have a game, share the things. It's work. Plan it, just constantly do it. You need to post constantly because like anything you post has a 5-minute lifetime. All that fluctuation you saw before, it's just, I have 65,000 people around the world. If I post something and my lifetime is 5 minutes, no matter when I post it, like maybe 2,000 people will see it, maybe 3,000 people will see it who are interested. So that's also why you can repost. You post that people don't forget it. You can post at different times. I mean, just post because, yeah, even if something is not doing that well, then just do it. And I mean, just for you as a human being to build up a routine, it's better to post like, let's say, every day. Also, if you post always at the day, you will train people who look at your social media. Like for some people it will be in the morning, for some people it will be in midnight, for other people it will be in the afternoon, depending where they are. But they will connect this that you post at that time. They know it. And that's the thing, because if you are into it for long term, so that means you don't have a product, but you are an artist and you have your art account, you want to have the constant growth. You want to have that people constantly are following you, and you also want to have not the hype people, not the viral people. You want to have the people who are staying with you for a really long time. And you don't want that you piss them off basically, because your niche audience only is as big as it is. And the truth is, those people stay long. I have people in my audience who are with me like for 10 years. I see them still posting on new stuff I'm putting out. I have people who are with me for 5 years. They don't post on everything, but I know their avatar, I know their account name, and I just see them popping up maybe 5 months apart, but they are still there. And so that means, I have 65,000 followers with something which is really niche, and still I outperform a lot of indie hype posts just on a daily basis. And that's what that long-term routine and constant posting does to your social media. Because, to be true, a stable fan base with shared interest is in reality way more important than just you put out something and a lot of people like it. And now another thing which is really funny is what does social media really mean for the real world? Because there have been 2 games which released recently, and on one I was working, and I was following the social media really closely, especially on Twitter, because there was the game Moonscars, and Moonscars had I think 7 tweets which went viral, and 3 of them had more than 40,000 likes. And then there was Domecreeper. Domecreeper had a constant follow-up base of on Twitter, I think it was most of their posts got 75 likes. So not even comparable in terms of the numbers. But last week, the games actually released on Steam. And it just shows us that the real world buyer interest is completely different from social media. That Moonscast, despite it had those crazy posts, it got 171 reviews. I just checked it before I made the presentation, it was 255. And Dome game had after the same time, Moonscast released the day after. So after the same time, it had 650 reviews. So it was 3 times as big. But now, after 10 days, Dome sits at 1,782, which is way multiplied. It grows quicker, and that without any viral postings, with a lot smaller follower base, with a really smaller initial announcement. I mean, they for sure had different channels, but for us as artists, what it means is if we focus only on one channel, this is reality. This is what social media is about. So it means not much. Social media marketing is not easy because you're not aware of everything there is. So my personal advice to all of you artists out there, just try to disconnect yourself from your social media numbers. I know it's super hard. I have problems with this. Everybody has problems with that. That's why I showed you those examples. Just throw a thick skin. Don't care. Just post. Move on. And value the connections you have with people. Value the connections you make with people. Value the connections you make with people who have a similar field of interest. That's way more of worth, especially in the long run. Because if I make something and I have a friend who is in the same stuff as I am, and they also have a following like that, and they can bring it in, that is like it's bumping each other, because just the same people are interested in it. If you work with somebody together for really long, your audiences might even overlap. So if you look at niche YouTubers, basically they always collaborate with other niche YouTubers in the same group. It's because there is that specific niche audience, and it's only 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 people big. It does not matter, but you just gain most of it. Also, people go in the audience, people go out of the audience. I mean, It's just how it is. What you should do to make yourself feel good, don't make a social media post which is doing well. Go out, make sport, meet people, meet friends, watch a movie, do that stuff. And if you make something, just enjoy making it and make the things you want to make as artists, because your audience is going in, your audience is going out. Once you start making stuff for the audience, you are basically, your employer is like a many-headed hydra. You can't anyways don't satisfy. But if you just do whatever you like and you just constantly share it, the chance that you will find people who like that is way higher, especially like over a really long period of time. I'm not telling you it's easy at the beginning. I'm not telling you it immediately will take off. But if you are authentic enough and if you really understand what you are providing, you will start talking about it and you will find people who are into that. And that's how you build your audience. So, as we saw, the numbers on things don't matter. We can't compare them. We should not. And don't ever do that. I constantly compare stuff, as you saw. I know that's like really hard. So, oh, it was the wrong button. Why do people even become obsessed with how many likes, thumbs up, and shares they get on social media? Of course, as you saw, I don't care at all about this. Like it, thumbs up, and share if you agree. So, thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. And now I can answer you all your questions you might have. Thanks. And also, I want to make a picture for us. And of course, I will post that on my Twitter.
Hello, hello. Thank you, Thomas, for the talk. My question was about what language to reach out to your audience. Obviously, your Twitter, you reach out in English. You said that you're from Austria. You lived in Poland. I would assume that. I think that as a whole, the art industry, our industry, is very English focused. So naturally, you reached out normally in English. But isn't it that perhaps when you were starting out all those years ago, your immediate circle of contacts that you knew you could generate an audience from spoke primarily in Austrian and Polish and other languages? I don't know.
Okay. I need help.
Social media, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. Yeah, because I knew at the beginning I am a game dev, so I went to Twitter because all the game devs were there. So if you're an artist and you want to post art, maybe you go rather to Instagram. And the language of game dev just is English. So like every game dev is coding in English, or most of them are coding in English. There are also some people who code in Russian and some people who code like Chinese, whatever. But generally, like there's a consensus that the game dev language is English, and I perceived myself early on as a game dev. All my art I put out is like mostly game assets. So for me, that was really easy to see even back then. Let's say my goal is to go to a museum. I know the local museum and I know what they like, and I do like some kind of neo-expressionism or something like that. Yeah, then I would post in my language, and I would also use very different language. Because, as I said before, like the language we write in, the language we talk in, it connects us with different people. So a lot of stuff you see from me just on the social media is like just, I make it for the people who like games, and I want to have it like kind of easy to understand, because my niche, Like, I mean, pixel art is a niche, and then my own art is like another niche in the niche. So, but I'm big there. That's how you get big, basically. And with any indie game nowadays, it's the same. So, if you make a game, I would do it in English.
Thank you.
How do you feel your social media affects you landing a job? I would elaborate. I saw many artists that have really good following. They're doing great social media. And maybe it's only my impression. I want to hear your opinion. But I felt sometimes it feels like they are getting hired not only for their art, but also as a free PR. Is that the true, or I'm exaggerating?
So, I mean, sure, there are some artists which get hired like as free PR. And if you have a big social media, I mean, you can get hired for PR. And the truth is, even if you hire an artist for PR, and that artist, I mean, it needs to be a refined artist. They already have an audience. So, does your product fit that artist? Because let's say you want me to market your, I don't know, really like you want, like you hire me to market your 3D triple A corporate game. So there is no overlap. So I mean, the challenge there is to find like an artist which already is suited to you. So, and then those artists get hired. But I mean, and here the problem comes in. Because if you as artist are not really into what you're making, and you get hired for the stuff you don't want to make, at some point somebody who just likes making that will come in and they will be better than you. Like they will beat you at your own game, because if you're not really into it, you can't be that good. And I mean, I know it. I don't know who of you knows my social media, but I post a lot of really, really niche history stuff. I'm really into armors, and I'm really into like early modern times. And the truth is, I just can nerd you out in that topic. I know everything about it, or not everything. Like there are people who know more about it, but those are historians. And but like let's say young artist is starting to do the stuff I am doing. They read 500 books less than me. They went to 500 less museums in the topic than me. They don't have the background in that, and they don't have the experience. So can they compete with me? Rather not. And you will feel it. You feel it. And that's just it. Like, I mean, what you are making is a part of you. The art you are making is a part of you. And like, I am specialized in pixel art. If somebody comes to me and says they don't want to have pixel art, then I am like, why even are you coming to me? Like, I don't understand it. And the truth here is, and I had that in another part of the presentation, which I cut that, but the part of it is just that there are a lot of horrible clients who also don't understand this. They just hire based on numbers, and then they hire somebody based on numbers which is not even there. Or if you're indie dev and you get a publisher, and you get a really big publisher, like you get, I don't know, Humble. Humble also already has an audience. Like they have an audience which has games they like. So if you make like some kind of, I don't know, point and click, maybe you should consider rather a publisher which has like that point and click audience. Because as we saw, the numbers don't mean anything. The audience you build up and the audience you have an access to, that means everything. We have time for one last question. So I just posted it on social media, on Twitter. So please go there if you have been here, like it. And we don't have a last question. So have a great time. Enjoy your stay. Play a lot of indie games. I will go and play a lot of indie games. And if you want to talk with me, I will be around. So have a great day. Bye-bye.